So it is my honor to introduce Out and Equal board member, and the reason I wake up every morning with a smile on my face and so much love and pride in my heart. It's my honor to introduce you to my partner, Dr. Philip Hodges.
Wow. I love that guy. Thank you, babe, for that very warm and generous introduction. I swear I did not write it. I never thought I would be here. 30-something years ago, I was growing up in a place where I never really belonged. Rural England, in a small village of less than 1,000 people. Mostly blue collar, mostly uneducated. My aspirations and my dreams were just as small as the village I grew up in. I've actually always thought my story would be much more compelling if I was the kid from the small town with big dreams who broke free and conquered the world. I never was. I was the kid who didn't know he was allowed to dream. Like many of us, I grew up not knowing any gay people, and certainly no successful gay people. Well, that's the story I normally tell in public. The reality is there was another gay person I knew, the man who was sexually abusing me. And one day, it got so bad, and I was so hurt, physically hurt, that I told him I was going to tell my mommy. I'm English, that's what I call her. And he told me what abusers often say, that nobody would believe me, that I was nothing, that I had secrets I should never tell anyone, and that people like him, people like me need people like him or we'll never do anything with our lives. Well, guess what? I am telling people for the first time here publicly tonight. Thank you. You're so much cheaper than therapy, thank you. I am somebody, and I've done a lot with my life, so fuck him. And I never actually believed him, even then. What saved me was, despite my humble background, I was always kind of naturally a smart and naughty kid. And I was lucky enough to get a scholarship to university, which opened my eyes to a world of possibilities. The city was filled with smart, thoughtful people, and there were gays everywhere. At Oxford, even the straight guys are gay. And like everywhere in the world, especially the conservative ones. Never again. I stayed in Oxford to get my PhD. By the way, PhD in quantum physics, if you want everyone to always think you're way smarter than you really are, pro tip. And in Oxford, I met one of my first mentors, John. John was an amazing, brilliant man, a brilliant scientist with an insatiable thirst for knowledge. He would talk passionately about the scientific method, the Socratic process of finding truth, pushing back the frontiers of our understanding of the universe. He was gay. He lived with a man who must have been his long-term partner, and he knew I was gay, and he inquired, bordering on the salaciously, about my life, but he could never fully come out about his sexuality, even to me. For a man who had so much respect for truth, honesty, and rationality, he just couldn't in the area that really mattered to him, his own happiness. And soon after I met John, he was diagnosed with bone cancer, terrible struggle that he eventually lost. And one of the last times I saw him in hospital, he touched my arm, and I remember the words he told me. He said, "Philip, never stop seeking truth and never hide who you are. I've wasted way too much time on that. Know yourself and open yourself completely to the world, and your world will be filled with peace, love, and happiness." And this is one of the things that really drives me and drives my passion for the work that Out and Equal does. We've achieved so much so quickly by the simple act of being ourselves, of coming out and being visible and unashamed, and showing the world that our love is just as valid as anyone else's. But we still need LGBTQ role models who live openly, visibly, and authentically, especially in leadership positions. When I started my career in financial services, there were very few openly gay executives. Now we see LGBTQ executives emerging as leaders across all industries. And this may sound a little narcissistic, but I feel a responsibility to be seen by future generations not just as a successful executive, but as a successful openly gay executive. I was, as my handsome boyfriend pointed out earlier, BlackRock's youngest ever managing director, an achievement I'm very proud of, but I think I'm more proud of how I achieved it. Look, I recognize standing here, I actually do have a lot of privilege. I'm a cis white male. I can pass this straight. It might seem difficult, but at a push I can. But I was always unceasingly out at work, and I can honestly say that I didn't become a senior leader in BlackRock in spite of being gay. It was partly because of it. And I really hope that future generations of leaders can keep saying that. It's also why I'm so happy to see a small but steadily growing trans contingent here today. The trans community was there right at the beginning of our struggle, often at great personal sacrifice, and unfortunately and shamefully remains some of the last to benefit from our successes. So we need your voices in positions of leadership, and please know that we see you, we hear you, we support you, and thank you for everything you do. The second reason driving my support of Out and Equal is that the world's corporations can be a truly incredible force for good. We live in scary, uncertain times, but what's reassuring is that whoever's in the White House, in the long run, the world tends to get more equal, more inclusive, and more diverse. And those who stand against that progress are destined to end up on the wrong side of history. Huge drivers of that progress have been corporations who realize that supporting equality and diversity is not just right, but it's also good for business. And just look how far we've come. 9 years ago, Prop 8 came up for vote here in California, and less than 5 companies took a public stand in support of same-sex marriage. 3 years ago, when Arizona tried to push through that awful religious liberty bill, SB 1062, 83 spoke out. Last year, more than 120 companies criticized North Carolina's bathroom bill. And Texas's recent abomination, SB 6, has had widespread condemnation from the corporate world, including the NFL, saying they'll never have another Super Bowl in Texas again. Hit Texas where it hurts. And just this week, the Associated Press reported that North Carolina's bathroom bill will cost the state more than $3.8 billion. And Pat McCrory can't get a job. Boo-hoo. We've come so far so quickly. In 2012, Lord Blankstein of Goldman Sachs was called an unlikely ally for his support of the Human Rights Campaign. Now corporations run a much bigger risk of being seen as not supporting equality. We're winning, and we should congratulate ourselves for that. I'm fortunate to be in a place now where I can be powerful. I've been in a place before where I've been vulnerable, and the worst kind of people and the worst politics, the politics that we're fighting against right now, are those who work to push down the already vulnerable and lift up the already powerful. And I will fight them every step of the way. We will fight them every step of the way. And Out and Equal will be right there with us, engaging corporate power to make the world a more equal, more fair, and more inclusive place. And just like I wish I'd done to my abuser 30-odd years ago, we will be there, pointing our fingers in the faces of bullies, saying, we know you. We see right through you. We're smarter than you, we're better than you, we have love and decency on our side. And watch your back, because individually we are powerful, but collectively we are unstoppable. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. That was a little personal for me, and I want to thank you for opening your hearts to me this evening. Now, I would like you to open your wallets again. But first, Scott and I feel very strongly about the work of Out and Equal. We're passionate about the work the organization does for all the reasons I explained, and we will be personally donating $15,000 in support. I'll leave you to it.